Good. Okay, we'll call the special meeting of council, Hanwell Council to order for May the 8th. It's now 7 p.m. So I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I, Councillor Heisler, move to approve the agenda.
Seconder?
I, Councillor DeCuva, second.
All those in favor? Oh, any questions, comments? Jumping the gun here. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Any disclosures tonight, council? No disclosures? We'll move on to the item 4 on the agenda, Community Energy and Emission Plan. Everybody's had a chance to review that, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Any questions or anything about that?
No, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, very well done. Yeah.
So with this council, every so many months, we have to report to the government where we are in our plan, what's going on. So now that we have this, Quest is actually going to help us answer all the questions that they need, at least for this first one that we're going to do, because the other ones we just said we didn't have anything. So they're going to assist us. We've got to put in May, and then after that, then we'll just move forward. So I believe the next steps is to hire a consultant to go even deeper with this. So I'll get all those details afterwards and bring it back to you.
So, everybody's good? Okay, I'll need a motion, please.
I, Councillor McKenzie, move to adopt the Community Energy and Emissions Plan dated November 6, 2024.
Seconder?
I, Councillor Fox, second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Now, item 5, playground equipment, Yoho Park. If Terry has something to give us on that information, I need a motion to suspend the rules so we can talk about it before we make a motion.
Actually, if you don't mind, can we go move this till further down the list until our recreation director can join us in a few minutes?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we can skip over item 5 until our recreation director gets here. Then we'll move on to item 6, is lawn maintenance at Hanwell Place. Anybody might have noticed, we got a lot of issues out there with grubs and whatnot in the front lawn. So we have 2 motions, one to fix it, and the other one to have a maintenance program. Do you have anything to add on that before?
No, the owner of Turf Works was saying that, we don't have to do the maintenance package. However, we've never really done like a proper liming and fertilizing lawn. And where we have so many weddings this summer, and well, any summer, it would be really nice for at least our front lawn to look very nice. In the back area, I asked him, if you recall, it didn't seed as well as what we wanted. It wasn't something that this company had worked on. So he said that he will give it a really good fertilization, and then he said maybe the summer students could just bring in some light soil, and then we'll just put down some grass seed in it, see how it makes out for the summer, and then we can look at it again in the fall. If we have to do more mitigation to it, then we will at that time. But he thinks that with the fertilization and stuff that it should, and the aeration, yeah.
So you're thinking like an easy seed type of thing, right? Just spread it out and see what happens. That's
Yeah.
good dirt.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so I, Councillor Heisler, move to authorize the CAO to accept the quote from Turf Works Landscape and Design in the amount of $13,990 plus HST for repairs to the lawn from the grub and plow damage.
Can I have a seconder?
I, Councillor DeCuva, second.
All right, any questions, comments? Yes, Councillor Fox.
So are we looking at any kind of like pesticide being put on this, or is this just repair?
This is repair, he puts something on it to get. So
It'd have to kill the grubs.
Go down on the other part, we just fixed this part not too
Right.
long ago,
Yeah.
or whatever, so then the grubs move from that area up to up by the offices and stuff, so.
Fresh food.
But they have to apply something to kill, the grubs have to be killed.
Okay, so we're putting something to kill the grubs?
Yeah, he actually takes all of the sod and soil off, he does a treatment or whatever, and then the new stuff is put down in the new sod. So, the area that, we had laid sod last year at the front, you'll see it didn't come in as green. He was in here today and he's coming tomorrow to fertilize that, and he said he's not charging us anything for it, so.
Some warranty work.
Yep.
Great.
That is one thing I will say about Turf Works, that you really stand behind whatever they do, so.
Sorry, who seconded the?
No, still looking for a second?
Candace.
No,
No,
Oh, Kansas,
Kansas.
okay, great.
Just went into questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
One-
any other questions,
Well, the only
discussion?
question I would have is, are we at least sure that they're, I don't know what they're doing to kill these things and whatever, but are we at least sure they're using the safest thing that you can possibly use?
I mean, they're a landscaping
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, I know they're a
I
landscaping
assume.
company, but most people don't really care.
But they're licensed by the province.
I know they're
and-
licensed by the province, but there's more
But the
than-
province
but-
doesn't allow the heavy-duty pesticides, they
I
have to
know.
use all the
but I'm
organic
just
stuff.
wondering if they're using the most environmentally friendly they can.
Generally, what I hear is like, some of the new grass that they're putting on are not as susceptible to like, the grubs don't like it as much. And then they put down nematodes and that stuff like that, that would get rid of them. That's generally what I understood their maintenance is usually done for the grubs. But you can check it out if you want.
I'd just
That's
like to, at least like to ask the question, because I mean, you know,
Sure.
it is an issue.
So I can certainly, is that going to make a difference of whether you approve this or not? Like, did you need
No,
to
no.
find out?
No,
First,
going,
okay.
just going forward, I'd like to be sure that,
Yeah.
you know, we're doing what we can.
Sure.
Especially with well water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people want it all
Well,
the time.
people are on the lawn daily.
We'll certainly, ask them.
Yeah, no, it's good to know.
Okay, any other questions, comments? We're good? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded?
Nay.
So, you got that recorded? Okay. Motion carried, thank you. Now, item 6B, I guess, is are we going to get into a maintenance program from Turfworks so we can have a proper lawn with no grubs, hopefully, no other disease?
I would think that we get this fixed, we've already agreed to have this done. But find out exactly what type of process they're going to be utilizing, and then in turn we can make a decision as to whether or not we want to meet its package. I'm not saying no, but I would defer this until we have a little bit more information.
Okay.
Again, that's my feeling, I don't know.
Okay, I can go around the table, see what people think, but we should have a motion on the floor first, I gather. And then we can second it, then we go open for discussion, and then we either vote yea or nay, or put it off for another time or whatever. But so, right now, we've got a motion. Do we have a motion yet? No.
No.
So if we get a motion and a seconder, then we can discuss it.
Okay, I, Councillor Heislip, move to authorize the CAO to accept the quote from Turfworks Landscape and Design in the amount of $9,720 plus HST for the Platinum Lawn Maintenance Package.
And the seconder? Okay, if we don't have a seconder, the motion will die. So, no seconder, the motion is considered dead on the floor. Okay, we'll go back to item 5 where our recreation director has arrived. Taylor? And this is the playground equipment on Yoho Park.
Okay, so do you want to do this or
No, I'll let you
do this? Okay. So council, I provided the original layout to you. It was just on one slip of paper. So this is the one that on the original draft it had a pirate ship. but that's designed more for smaller kids. So then we asked to have possibly a tower and the beaver dam. And these two combined were cheaper than the ship. So I gave you this because the original drawing, we were thinking the parking lot was going to be 60 by 160. And it didn't leave us a whole lot of green space. So then your next
Can I
set,
Can I make a comment on that?
yeah,
I don't know what the 100, because I kept thinking the whole time we were talking about this 160 feet. I had been thinking it was like around 140 feet. So I went out yesterday and measured it again. It's actually only 132 feet, the size of, so I don't know where the 160 feet came from. And
did you go clear to,
I measured the parking lot,
but,
that parking lot out here.
yes, but did you go clear to the veterans?
No.
Because that's what you told them to do.
No, no, I had the
Okay.
parking lot out here, where the cars park. Because
So
anyway,
that's where the difference would be.
yeah, anyway, that's, anyway, it is what it is. But, I mean, the only thing, I don't care about the 110, I don't care about the 110, I don't care about the 130, as long as, when it's done, it works out that your parking space, it comes out to an even number of parking spaces, if you know what I mean. So, that was the thing, but, so I don't know. Taking off even 20 more feet from what it is, I think only eliminates 4 spaces, which isn't bad. But I just wanted to point out that it was never 160 feet.
So I think that day we asked if you wanted to go clear to
No, I
the
would-
veterans thing,
No,
and
I would never
that's
have
what, that's what we told them to quote and measure that day.
I would never have said that. Anyway, whatever it is, somebody misunderstood something somewhere. It is only 132 feet. That's the part that has the parking in it now.
So, in order for us to have green space, JIL had suggested like 110, and so that's what the rest of the sites are. Because where the gazebo area, the pavilion is going to be, Deputy Mayor Jonah and I thought that a green space in front of here would be a good idea, one for other picnic tables. If we decide to put in future bathrooms or something, that would be an idea there. So if you're okay with the parking lot kind of being in the middle with green space on each side, our next thing is just to determine what you want in there for equipment.
Yeah, if you want to see the one with the green space on both sides, it's on the TV right now, if anybody wants to direct your attention to that one.
So is the 110 to be adjusted off of your 132?
Yeah, that was, yeah. So I mean, it could be somewhere between the 110 and the 130.
130.
So as long as your space, basically what I would do is I go count spaces. I think they're 12, the spaces are 12 feet wide, so whatever works out to 12 feet. So that you've got, you don't end up wasting a space or whatever. That's all that's really concerning other than that. No, I don't mind the idea of definitely having space over here. I don't mind the idea of having a space because we are gonna have to go back in behind for the next phase. Rather than, if you don't wanna keep just moving everything down the road and having this big strip of stuff along the road and then nothing behind it. So that this would give us, there's the only 2 ways to access the back would be either to come in through here or you're gonna have to build a road out around here to get into the back. So either one is fine with me. As far as the layout goes, I think it's okay. My gazebo turned at the end.
So is everybody good with that diagram that's on the TV right now? Is that the idea?
That's the idea. I'm not really sure what the difference was between one of these, and I did check them off last night and I left the wrong one home. There's 7 units on here, and there's 8 on this one. I forget, I did count them off and I forget which
So
one
it
was
was just
missing.
kind of a little different one. So number 1, that is the little spring rider. It's like a little seal. Just 1 second. We have them up in our park up here as well. It's just this little,
They move back and forth?
yeah,
You sit on them?
it's just for
They're just
toddlers.
rock.
It's
Yeah.
just kind of rocks.
Sound like a coil spring, just
Yeah,
kids sit
so
on it.
it's just for more or less
Yeah, a
the
little
smaller kids. So number 2 is your swing set, and it's showing this larger amount because of the fall space that is required. So number 3 is your tower. So there was many things on this that can be accessible. They also have different things that we can choose. So I had, take for example, like the steps. We can either have a ladder, we can have like the logs with a rope, we can have these logs that
I
are
like the
kind
log,
of
yeah, that was the one I liked, was the log
thing.
climbing
We
thing.
can have just like a
Different versions of
staircase
Yeah.
or whatever, so we can choose
I was
what we
looking at-
want.
I was looking at that the other day, it said something about the primary access and the secondary access, so, and then I couldn't really tell if you could have, if that one had a primary and a secondary, so you could have like the log climb, and for the chicken kids, you could have the stairs up the side.
Possibly because there was another section on here.
Yeah, I looked at that.
So this, like on the other side, you can
Mm.
have like the net, or you can have the climbing wall, or you can
Yeah.
have this pole. I think the pole would be a little dangerous,
Well, I don't know, we won't get into that right now.
or whatever. You can have like the big tire that they climb up on. So
Pole is a nightmare, isn't it?
there's
Kids always wanna go for the pole, and you're like, oh.
so there's
Like
lots of
climbing a pole, please.
accessories. But we just kind of have to
Yeah.
say if you want either the tower, or if you want that pirate ship.
I think the
Kind of
tower would be more, you, because really, I mean, I realize there's nothing in here for the bigger kids. I was disappointed that there was no 6-foot slide,
No,
and I don't understand why they don't have a 6-foot slide. Every other company I looked at had a 6-foot slide.
Can I make a motion to suspend the rules so we can go into a bigger discussion with this? There's some things that I'd like to really talk about here, but
sure.
we're way past the point of preamble.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So, Councilor McKenzie has a motion to suspend the rules. Can I have a seconder?
I second.
Okay, so motion's, and seconded, so we'll now suspend the rules so people can talk freely. Oh, does everybody agree? Any-
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're good, we're good.
We need a motion though.
just made it.
He
He
made
made
it.
it.
Yeah.
But who
I know,
seconded it?
but
Dave seconded.
And I seconded it.
Seconded.
you seconded, but
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, so the rules are now suspended, so Councilor McKenzie, go ahead.
Yeah, so, okay, my thoughts on this. So, I'm not a big fan of the pirate ship for several reasons. I know that this was kind of previously discussed, though I think it might have been with a previous council, that like a pirate ship isn't really appropriate for us. Like they have one down in St. Andrews, which it makes more sense because it's a town by the sea, and like it has kind of ties to oceanography and stuff like that. We really don't, we're landlocked, it doesn't really make sense here.
It's on a lake, but I don't, actually, I'm not keen on it either, really.
Yeah, but
Just because it's for smaller kids.
it's for smaller kids, that's the other thing about it. So it's, not to mention, the other set of kit is cheaper than the pirate ship anyway, and provides probably more things for it.
Yeah.
My only other question with it is that in this picture here, that has the 8 things instead of the 7, the
Yeah.
8th thing,
Is the inclining
Is
monkey
the
bar,
climbing monkey
which I
bar
don't know
stuff.
why they're not included, because I like them.
yeah, so
you can put those in. I actually, it was my suggestion, if we had to take out kind of one piece to
Right.
make this fit, I thought you've got the logs, you've already got climbing things on the one with the ropes and the tires. You've got climbing things like on the actual tower, like there was a lot
Yeah.
of climbing
Right,
things, so I thought if we had to lose something, maybe those climbing,
so will it just not fit in this? Can you not make it fit into this thing, or extend it back a few feet, or can you make it
we
fit?
can't
Because of
really
the
extend
space.
back. It's because of your fall protection,
Right,
it has to
I
be,
understand,
so.
So the second question, actually, on that picture, it looks like that might be number 6. Number 6.
Number 6 is the
No,
beaver dam.
Number
Beaver
6
dam?
is your
Yeah.
beaver dam.
Yeah.
Beaver
And
dam.
why do we like the beaver dam?
was very accessible.
Oh, okay. Well, no, we do need accessible stuff, that's
Yeah.
fine. As long as it is, I don't have a problem with it. It just didn't seem like,
Okay, well, that answers my question, I suppose, yeah.
Okay,
Councillor?
Thank you.
A lot of
Dave's
work-
next, yeah.
A lot of work has been done to this, but there's one thing that is missing, and it's not all-inclusive. Okay, there's nothing for a child that is wheelchair bound, spastic quadriplegic, or somebody that's not weight-bearing. There's nothing there, okay? We've got this little nest or whatever, you could not put a handicapped child in that nest and swing them. I know that we're trying to conform with these logs, et cetera, but there's nothing there for a child that's confined to a wheelchair. Nothing whatsoever.
well,
And that is just something I just could not support any which way.
well, I asked originally for a quote, and the problem is, I think with this company, there wasn't, because there's a lady who lives out there who has, I forget what her group is, but that's what she does. She's part of the Autistic Society, anyway, I forget what exactly she does. And she was in touch with me, and there was a great interest in having a accessible zip line. And I think because the good one didn't come from this company, that there was a zip line, but it wasn't accessible, so.
Yeah, well, zip line's for an older child anyway. I'm talking
Well,
with a child that's specific, okay, Brett, from 12 to, or 12 months old to whatever. Being a parent of a child that was a spastic quadriplegic, there's nothing here that a family could utilize a child like that. There's a child out in Smith Road that would well be served with a swing that in turn a wheelchair can be affixed to safely, or a swing itself where you can actually place the child in a molded form, strap him down so that the safety issue's there, and then he has that free-flowing mobility.
that's what
There
we
is-
have in our playground right out here. So you're thinking of something like that?
There's, I really haven't looked at that one. There's the the Rotary Park in Dieppe has a swing that in turn actually does that. It's almost a full body mold. You can lay the child in, securely strap them, and but
well, I
this
believe,
this has nothing that would fit, or that would give any child with severe motor issues.
well, I believe
Enjoy.
the accessible zip line that I looked at had that kind of seating. I did some looking before we got together, and one of the ones I saw, I don't know where it came, which seat it came from, they did, it had in place where you could take the child, strap them in, had the molded seat, and,
But as a parent of a child with the issues that Corey had, I would never put him in
It didn't go
a
very-
zip line.
it didn't go very
Oh,
far.
it's a very small zip line though.
I
It's
still-
like the one that's like
Well-
this far off the ground. It's
Well,
not a-
even
like
with-
not
even
an
with
actual
his-
zip line.
I wouldn't even
Just to clarify.
But we could do one of the swings could be accessible. There's 3 swings there.
If there is the ability to put a particular swing in there that would fit with the rest of them, no problem.
No, I think that's
Okay.
a good idea. I'm sure they have
And-
something that would be accessible.
Or something with a wheelchair can be mounted to it as well.
Susan, sorry,
Yeah.
the lady that you were speaking of that was part of autism,
Yeah, I forget exactly what,
did she speak about anything from like a,
the zip line was actually her idea. She said, would you look at it?
she's remarking on something that's specific to a physical disability?
Yes.
Is there any, did she have any input in on the
Sensory.
sensory, thank you, sensory, touch and that sort of thing?
She didn't particularly mention that, no.
No.
I think it was for kids so that they could, I think, well, it was kind of a sensory thing too. It was so that those kids could feel the same as the other kids, kind of going along, feeling kind of free, going on this zip line thing. So I did quite a bit of research into them, and I could see what she was getting at.
I mean, it's ever
you're
increasingly
never gonna
more
get-
important to be attentive to sensory needs, autism, spectrum, and
Well, I guess if I could make
and
it,
it's not even hard, like some of these things are blocks that are on,
They spin.
they spin, and it's, you move the balls back and forth, it's not a complicated thing, and some of these things are even considered non-accessible or non-inclusive but they end up being prescribed as the method or the mechanism for it.
Like
It's-
musical.
That's it, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to further talk about
Exactly.
Councillor Holt's point, like, I think it's important.
Yeah, because over at the playground at the school, they have like a built-in xylophone
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the hammers are there, you can't
Exactly.
take them off, so that's, you know, that's good for kids to play on.
Correct.
There's something similar to that in one of the parks in St. Andrews. I think.
St. Andrews has, and actually there's a park at Centennial Park in Moncton has a pretty impressive,
Yes.
yeah, anyway.
Yeah, Councillor Leclerc.
Is the preferable one, if I'm understanding correctly, the 5.1? That's the one that seems to be most popular?
I don't even know what five, I found this thing so hard.
Because it doesn't have the pirate.
Yeah, without the
Yeah.
pirate.
Without the
Bars.
pirate.
5.1.
So if you swap out the bird's nest basket swing with something that was a bit more accessible, would that make sense? Like if that was a
Because
tree?
we wouldn't have room for both.
But the,
Yes.
so the
Councillor
bird's nest
Heisler.
basket thing, the one great thing about that is more than one person can get on, adults with children. Like it's more versatile, I think, than,
And it is considered accessible
Yeah.
now.
Okay,
ABC
because
Chelsea.
If you have a child that
4
is
children.
handicapped, the parent can get on and
With
with them.
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, and it does say it can accommodate up to 4
Yeah.
children.
Because I know the xylophone was not freestanding, it's attached to another structure.
It
So
is.
that's something we could look into. I think that'd be a neat idea to put there.
okay, good, another suggestion, just to get things moving a bit. We do have this extra room, like, I like the idea of the picnic tables and stuff over here, because this is where your, you know, community events are gonna take place. We still have this other green space over here, so we either, or we could, this is the boundary line of the property.
And to be determined, is that where you're?
And then be
going to
determined,
usually-
or take part of this green, look at the accessible zip line, look at some of the sensory stuff that Jared was talking about, and start with this, like, for now, and if we get lucky and could order something between now and when it could be put in, great. If not, it could be put in for the,
Yeah, it's not saying this can't be expanded down the road.
no, but I don't want to be down the road, I want it to kind of be,
We could at least
This
make a
year.
decision on this.
Shortly down the
tonight,
road, like-
tonight, so.
yeah, to get this ordered.
Get across the finish line with the ability to add or subtract and replace with something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that there's much to subtract, I would still like to have seen the monkey bars in here, but that's neither here nor there, yes?
If you want to use some of your green space.
Well, that's what I'm saying, use some of the green space, I mean, and if we could forego, like you say, there are lots of climbing things, we could forego the monkey bars, but I would still like to look at one of the, to get at least a cost of one of the accessible zip lines, because the one that you gave us a picture of wasn't accessible.
Correct, and that's the one that was available.
I know, but there are other companies that we could
Councillor Heisler.
look into.
So my only concern with using the green space on the left, I guess, is we would definitely have to ensure there's a barricade between that and the parking lot, because you don't want kids running out into the parking lot to go to the rest of the playground or to the picnic tables or
Yes.
whatever, because that's what was happening down at Ralph Foreman.
They were suggesting that we'd have to put big boulders in. However, I almost think that we almost need the fence
Yeah, because the boulders they run through. But, yeah,
all around.
that's my concern with
Like an
that.
actual chain link. to come
Yeah,
to-
Yeah.
like something, but we also, if you're going to use some of that green space, we've got to position it so that when we go to expand the back part of that we have access to get
No,
machinery and stuff.
We don't
back there.
have to, I mean, it might be convenient, but we don't have to, we've got 10 acres over here, we've got all kinds of place to come in off of here, if we don't want to just keep building and building and building along here, which I think would be not very good. Because now back in here, along the top, there is that other trail, which is why we only went to the trail, so we didn't disturb it. So at some point, like I say, it would be easy to come in here, but if we want to use that for something else, we still have all of this. Where are we gonna, you know, we may have to create it off the road, I don't know.
If I may, so going through the diagram, the easiest way to explain what I'm thinking here. Would, for this TBD
Yeah.
zone in behind here, would it
Right.
be possible, if we have to get it from another company, that's fine, to get the accessible zip line to go around like this way, then we have a long zip line
Well, the exist,
necessarily.
I don't think those zip lines are very long. Like the ones that I looked at were maybe like 20 feet.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's not
so it
like,
would be
it's not
something
like a
that
zip
fitted
line
in.
over your river or something like that, yeah.
Right, because we were looking at one point, remember with that
Oh, yeah, there was a
metal one, it
beautiful
was-
one, I loved
but it was,
it.
it looked ugly, but it was,
Oh, I thought
it was
it was
nice.
great, one of the steps, but see, it's
Yeah.
definitely not accessible.
It's not accessible, but we
No.
found, like, there is space to expand that. In fact, this whole
Oh, there
thing could be
is.
shifted
Yeah.
like 5 feet this way or
Yeah.
2 feet this way,
Yeah,
right? To be able to do something like that. There's lots of space
yeah,
around like this
Yeah.
one and stuff, right?
yeah.
Based on what they're showing here for what's needed.
But is there gonna be any opportunity for extension of that specific playground?
Well, that's what Darren was just talking about, we could extend out in there, instead, bring it down a bit more into this green space over here, get from there to the road. And, because we don't have to leave that at Fraser Road, because we own 500 feet back that way. You know, if we wanna get in back and put something in back, if we wanna put the paved surface in behind this, then you just make a, you'd start on the road and go right back around, if you didn't wanna disturb this grass over here. That would be my thought.
Okay, Councillor Leclerc.
So if we make a motion tonight to accept whichever plan, then the thought is that if we are gonna go forward and order additional things, we would also be working on that immediately? Like, would we also need to look at more of the engineered wood stuff as well for like growing?
Oh, yeah, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like whatever
You suggested
extra-
like doing extra anyway, just to do
to do out here.
Yeah.
So
So,
maybe that order is where we include extra for here.
No.
so if you guys
Makes
wanted additional pieces besides all of those, then, in the next quote, I could get those, plus get them to figure out how much extra of the engineered wood fiber that we would need, but council, I need you to, all of this is great to say, I'd like to see this, this, and this, but you also, we've gotta be thinking about cost. Like, just kind of keep, cause you've got your pavilion, you've got your groundwork, you've got all of this, and, I mean, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, but when we're gonna be at probably $400,000 for this park, just kind of keep that in mind, because if we're buying it out of this budget, like, we've got to.
Well, isn't, well, a lot of this is a can building fund or the previous.
It is,
But also, does this show here include installation, or is this just
yes,
materials?
no, that's,
That does include
it's right
installation.
at the bottom, and that's also the wood fiber.
And that
as well.
includes the wood fiber, so
Yeah.
that's not that bad, that's only 146,000, almost 147,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then we've got to do all of the ground maintenance,
right?
right? But that doesn't include that, we're gonna have to have somebody come in with the gravel and
Yeah,
all of,
Yeah, we've got a lot of site prep to do back there, then plus there's the gazebo we're putting in, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, and if we put it off again, it's putting off ordering and getting started, so,
yeah.
yeah.
you know,
Well, no,
Councillor Fox.
Yeah, I don't wanna put off ordering, I wanna get this part
Yeah.
because we've been talking about it, it's been on the books for a long time, I think the whole time I've been here as a councillor pretty much. And it needs to get done. My question is it possible to swap out one of the swing sets, I think the mayor mentioned this, swap out one of the swing sets for a swing that a wheelchair can be attached to?
Like we have over here.
Yeah.
An accessible swing rather than just a plain swing. I think that's,
Because we have 6 swings, right,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
this? And can we take one out and make it an accessible swing?
yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier.
And not do the bird's nest?
What's that?
No,
And
it's
not do
no
the bird's
bird's
nest?
No.
Don't do the bird's nest.
So the bird's nest.
Okay,
I'm just
so
saying-
the
just
bird,
I'm just saying one of these swings.
yes,
You just
So-
take it out and put an accessible one.
the accessible one, same as out here, it took more than one.
It
It's
takes
like
two.
one- It takes
Takes
two.
It takes up the two,
That's
the
all right.
full,
That's-
The,
Yeah,
the
right.
bird's
That's still
nest
400.
takes two,
And so then you have 2 others.
so then you have 2 others.
So then, in that case,
what
we
you're
almost
saying.
need to go to a quad bay instead of a 3 bay and push everything 6 feet to the right.
The bird's nest is the big round,
I thought it was, isn't that 7?
no,
Something
No,
else.
that's
No.
something else. The bird's nest goes in the swing sets.
Yeah, it's just a big basket for a swing,
Okay.
instead of swing seat, it's the big basket.
the The number 7 is this one with the tires and the rope.
Well, if you got rid of, if you moved it, if you just added on, I don't know how many feet this is supposed to be, this is not scale, I don't think. So if you just extend it down to the property line, this is as far as you can go, because it is a property line. Then there should be room for the extra swing, and I don't think those zip lines take up that much room, like footprint wise.
But this is certainly a good start, and I mean, it gives
Well,
us,
this is
it
a
gives
good
us a
start,
place
isn't
to
it?
build from.
It is a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if we did push over and at least put.
I think an accessible swing
wheelchair-
is a
Accessible
must
swing, wheelchair, at least we have a certain part covered,
Yeah.
and then we can build from
from there.
there.
Because we don't know how long.
But to arbitrarily just do something and not even take.
Oh, no, you gotta consider it today, I mean, any time, you gotta consider it accessibility.
Well, I like the idea of getting it started, I just don't want everything to start dragging after that and not get done.
It's coming to fruition, Susan, and it's been a long
I
while.
don't know if we're gonna live this long.
All right, so we're good with going with,
This
this
plan.
plan,
Just for now.
plus,
understanding.
but change it to at least one accessible swing.
How do we approve
Okay.
that though, if we don't have a new number for the accessible, do we know how to?
So
Yeah,
I would
yes,
just get them to
We go with this.
do it. Either that, or you can make a motion for the individual items.
Like afterwards, like motion to accept this
Right.
and to move forward with it, and then once we get the cost back from them, including the swapping that out, we can just make a motion at the next, because it's not gonna be installed between now and the next regular meeting of
No,
council.
we got a regular meeting of council coming up in 2 weeks' time.
Just make the motion there in 2 weeks to
Yeah.
have that swapped
But
out.
are you swapping it out, or, because she was saying that the accessible one takes up 2 bays?
Or adding
See what
on,
they have to say about it.
Yeah,
See
or
what
or are
they
we
say.
looking at it as a separate
either
unit?
make a quad bay or make
Yeah, I
a
just wasn't
separate
sure,
one next to it.
I wasn't sure what we were talking about.
So let's move forward with this one.
With that, then I've got no problem.
Yep.
And I'd like to see what you were talking about, because I've not seen, like, the sensory things.
Sensory is important.
Yeah, I'd like
very
to
important.
see,
But that'll be something like, that'll be something like a xylophone or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's
which is
equally
really
as
neat.
important as the physical.
yeah.
Those are easily added on,
Yes,
those are
yes.
existing posts,
Correct.
that's
Are
the
they?
thing about
Okay.
them, we can add them at any time.
But we could do that at the same time we're looking at the accessibility swing, we
Sure.
add on it.
Yeah.
It's an addendum, and addendums are common.
Yeah,
Exactly.
All right, so council, we won't do a motion at all.
yeah,
We will, I'm just gonna go back to JIL, tell them that we would like to take that zoning, the zone to be determined, move that down, the playground a little.
Yeah.
And look for a
Try
fourth
to do
then.
our accessible swing wheelchair thing like we have out here.
Yeah,
The accessible zip line, see what they have for sensory, and tell them that we are good with moving forward with the rest of the stuff. We just like to have a little
just
bit
need the numbers close
extra,
by.
and then
next.
we'll do a motion
but
at
where
the
we need a
next
motion to
council.
get them started, why not use this motion to get them started? And then we'll do another motion in 2 weeks'
Okay.
time, once we have the price of the accessibility swing and the,
Sensory.
sensory type
Yeah,
thing.
agreed.
So we have this motion going, we can get them started, and then in 2 weeks' time, they're not gonna have it all here and get finished. We get a price from them and add it on, and away we go.
That's what I
Bob's
would
your
like to
uncle.
do, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Can I add one
Sure.
final point here? Can we make sure that when we're talking about where an accessible swing would belong, that it's integrated into the non-accessible swing, so that we're not being exclusive, that we're
Yes.
being
Yeah,
inclusive?
yeah.
Yes.
Probably just be another bay added onto it, go with 4 bays
Perfect.
instead of
I'm just-
3.
If their rebuttal was, we can do it, but it's a separate unit, the
Yeah.
ask is that it's integrated in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're
So
part of the group,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Okay,
then,
so-
your quote then is going to be the 140.
Quote one, plan A.
maybe 24037 G.
Yes,
We're ready to roll with it over here, actually.
okay.
Ready?
Okay,
I
So,
cancel- oh,
we're back in regular council.
Yes, sorry,
Meetings,
yeah.
the rules are on suspended, so now we'll go with the motion, please.
Okay, I, Councillor DeCleva, move to authorize the CAO to accept quote number 24037-G from JIL Engineering and Construction in the amount of $127,684 plus HST for playground equipment for the park at Yoho Lake.
I, Councillor McKenzie, second.
Okay, any questions, comments?
You were saying 127?
Plus HST.
Oh, okay, mine was including HST, okay. That's what I was wondering about.
Any other questions or comments?
No, that's it.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Very good, council. Thank you very much.
Perfect, so I'll get the other ones and have them back to you for the next meeting.
Can you give us a microphone?
We'll look for it tomorrow. I don't know where it is.
Okay.
All right, item 7, plug in the charging rebates for business. I'm gonna turn this over to Terry, because she knows a whole lot more about it than I do.
Okay, council, so, NB Power in conjunction with Natural Resources Canada's Zero Emission Vehicle Infrastructure Program is once again offering rebates for businesses to install charging stations. We had talked about possibly putting in a charging station a while ago. We weren't sure if we wanted to put in, just a freestanding one, or if we wanted to put one like on our building, which was fast charging or something like that. Anyway, I wasn't sure if you guys still were interested in putting, these charging stations in. It doesn't actually even have to be here now that we have different, facilities. I suppose we could have them in a different location or whatever, so. But, this grant is, first come, first serve. So it is up to 50%. I have no idea what the cost is. They would bring in a consultant from NB Power to look over our facilities and determine the location. And then we would know the prices from there. So I just needed direction of how you guys wanted to move forward with this story.
Did we ever get clarification of who pays for the power?
Should we suspend the rules to get things
We
going?
have to do that again, yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks to have to keep doing that.
I know, but
This is
it's
though, the
hard to
motion is
discuss
to
it
get
without.
her to call and discuss, so,
Yes.
so
Okay.
that might be where we get that.
Can I get a motion to suspend the rules? No? So we're not gonna discuss this any further?
Well,
The motion is to have her discuss it with them.
Okay,
because I don't have the answers, so it's something I'm going to have to discuss with council, so, or with
NB
the
Power.
NB Power.
Yeah.
Knowing the cost,
So we're gonna just table this for the time being? or what?
Well, I don't want
It's
to
just
table
to
it.
discuss, the motion is to discuss.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would make a motion to discuss, because I mean, it's
that's
something.
what
we-
this motion
yeah,
is,
that's fine.
so this is
Or my
for,
motion's fine.
the motion is for me to discuss it with the
NB
NB
Power.
Power consultant after they have reviewed our location to see if we can even do it, apply for it. They will tell us the cost and then we would, apply for it.
Okay.
Can you also find out from them how many we can get? Like, if we wanted one here, we wanted one somewhere else, you know?
It's first come, first served,
I wonder
however,
whether they're limiting it to how many you can apply for.
I would say so if it's first come, first served, but I certainly, Ollie can discuss all of that.
Something else to check out.
All right, well, we need a motion first.
Okay,
I, Councillor Dooley, hereby move to authorize the CAO to direct staff to contact.
Oh, so
So
that's
that's
page
part of the
first page.
front.
Nope,
bring the top of the page.
whereas.
Page.
Take her.
the whole thing.
Oh, exciting piece, yeah.
Ah, yeah, see, no.
Whereas the rural community of Hamwell is required to have our climate action plan completed by 2030, and whereas within the Net Zero Communities Accelerator Plan, we have identified charging stations to be installed as a measure towards climate change, and whereas NB Power, in conjunction with Natural Resources Canada's Zero Emissions Vehicle Infrastructure Program, is once again offering rebates for businesses to install charging stations. I, Councillor Dooley, hereby move to authorize the CAO to direct staff to contact the representative at NB Power to discuss installation of charging stations at Hanwell Place,
Or at another.
or at
location.
another location.
For both.
Can I have a seconder?
I, Deputy Mayor Jonah would second.
Okay, any questions, comments? Councillor McKenzie?
In the discussion with that, with MB Power, I'd like to get it finally clarified, who pays the electricity? Is it the vehicle owner? Is it us? Or is it MB Power? Who pays it?
I think these charging stations are set up, you put a credit card in and you pay for the power as the user.
Can we get that clarified? Because some places actually are covered by the province depending on where they're from. Yeah,
And I know, for example, in Riverview, the town of Riverview pays for it.
yeah, so we need to get that clarified, is who will be paying for it.
That'd be good, you have to know
Yeah.
all the details.
And the other thing I'd like to see clarified too with it is, since it's, are they gonna base the cost on if the grant is approved? Or are they gonna give us both the full cost and what it would cost if we get the grant approved? Because maybe if it's I'm gonna say insignificant, I know people don't like that word, but if it's a small cost to do it, even if we just had one of them, it might still be worth it, even if we don't get the grant, for example, if we don't have to pay for the electricity for it. Like, that could balance out right in the end. Just something to look into.
Something to look into.
I don't think there are significant.
Councillor McLeod, got your hand up?
Well, I was just gonna say, I agree with getting the costs clarified for sure, and the only other thing I was thinking was, you'd have to sort of decide, like, if it is a benefit to the community, for example, to have someone paying, you know, who are we trying to target? Is it community members, or is it people coming off the highway? Like, are you know, you just have to think from the perspective of someone that has one of those vehicles, like, if they're looking to stop and charge, this might be a really nice place, because it's really close to the highway, that's what I'm thinking, for a location, I guess.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Jones.
One of the things that I would think, I would hope, would happen is, I know the one and only car show I ever went to my entire life was an electric car show at the co-op last year. And I see it being a benefit for people who live here, who have people coming to visit them. Because I know I was talking to a gentleman there, and he goes, what he does is you charge it up at home, he drives to Montreal, and of course, with the places he's visiting, you can plug it into a regular outlet, but it takes forever. So then they have to go somewhere, so I can see if people were visiting, they could come up here, charge a thing, and go
Yeah.
within 10 or
In
15
the park or
minutes.
something, yeah.
Yeah, in the parking lot out here, or wherever we decide to put it. So I see that being a benefit to the residents and to the people who come to visit them. They have electric cars.
It doesn't cost us anything.
Any other questions,
Those
comments?
cost half, but I don't know what the cost is.
Okay, all those in favour signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Motion carried, thank you, council. Item 8, that's coming from the province, if there's any changes for council composition and or wards for the, I guess it would be the upcoming, after the next election, I would think.
Yeah, so we have to notify Department of Local Government if we want to decrease our composition, or if you want to change wards or whatever. So this has to be, we would have to change our bylaw. So we have to make a decision soon so that the bylaw can be done. Even if council decided that they want to move ahead with this, it does not mean that it's absolutely approved. And I put that in my report. The ministers will have the final say on it. I do know I have not checked this out by fact. Somebody just told me tonight that they had watched St. Stephen and St. Andrew's council meetings, and they're both going down to 4 councillors and the mayor.
Going from how many?
Yeah, how many do they have now?
I don't know. So like I said, I haven't checked that out for
Changing.
fact or whatever, but they said they had watched it on the.
Yeah, I know, but that's their community. I mean, we have to have a discussion on what we
Yeah,
want here.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
Oh,
just
for sure.
saying.
it can't be just because somebody else is cutting back means we have to or
That's
want to.
right.
So when would we have a discussion on this? Because I mean, we can't really make a motion right now. We've
Yeah,
not-
we need it, this has never come up, hasn't even come up yet.
We've-
We're just-
We've
we
never
can't
sat and had a,
Can't just shotgun approach this, we need to have a discussion about it.
yeah.
We can suspend the rules and talk about it.
Yeah, if we're gonna discuss it, we'll have to discuss it. Well, tonight's a good time as any, so we can suspend the rules, or we can make a decision at our next council meeting and just suspend the rules in and talk about it.
Well,
So
I mean,
this is-
it's a fairly major decision.
Pretty heavy.
Yeah,
No,
it's
sure
like a
is.
whole night discussion.
Yeah, that's what I would
It's
think.
not like something we're gonna decide in 5 minutes.
I think this would be an information session type meeting or a separate meeting
Yeah,
on its own,
on
if
its
not,
own.
yeah. Because I mean, there's pros and cons and different ways of looking at it. I mean, I really don't know. You know, I don't have a preference really, but I wanna make sure we make the right decision, or, you know, see all the different sides. So I mean, sitting here now for 10 minutes is kind of, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a 100-year decision
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Council, you can, we don't have to do anything with it, and we can discuss it another time and bring it back to council.
So when do we
at a
have to
later
have
date.
it, when do we have to have it to the province?
Well, a bylaw takes 3 readings, so we probably need to be, I'm gonna say the end of August, September, we've got to have it kind of finalized.
Right.
It's got to be into them, I think it was the end of
It's October
October.
31st.
So this would be before the next election is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes,
so next year.
Yeah.
yes, so if we have our bylaw and stuff, done, then they have to notify elections, so they've gotta give
Right.
the time if boundary lines are going to change, so that,
So basically, they have to know before the end of October. So,
I mean,
like I said, decision doesn't have to be made tonight. So
No, I mean, I could see in a week or two, you know, we got a little time to think about it.
this gives everybody time to think about it.
Yeah.
So we won't move forward with the decision tonight because it's kind of catching everybody off guard.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
you know,
read it in this, but
Yeah.
that was the first I
give
heard.
us some
of it.
time to think about it, discuss it as a group and see where we go from there.
Yeah, let's bring it to the next management session and see if we can put some time into that, and if it needs more time for the further discussion, we should have an individual meeting with,
Well,
of just on that.
I know we did discuss it, I don't know, you weren't on that committee. We
No,
did,
we
we
was
discussed
discussing municipal,
it. Because-
municipal
yeah,
reform.
municipal reform, it was discussed, and there were several other options, I'm trying to think what the options were. Oh, it was the,
It was all at large, it was
No.
all wards, there
Yeah.
was,
hybrid,
3 or 4 different things, right?
they're all listed in here.
Oh, right,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause there was something to do with the at-large, and I forget exactly what went on with that. 'Cause I remember they were saying we couldn't change it that time, because we had to have counselors from that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, anyway, yeah, I'd have to go back and think about it. No, I think it's a good thing to.
Well, let's table this for tonight because it is on the agenda.
Agreed, yeah.
And everybody can give it some thought until our next meeting and bring your thoughts forward and we'll have everybody involved and we'll make a decision from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't need to be like tabled as a motion, it just.
There's no motion on the floor now, so we'll just come back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to item 9, donation request from Safegrad FHS. So we've made donations to that in the past, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely do that. I mean, I think we definitely do that.
All those. So can I get a motion?
Do we have an amount? Do we want to?
Whatever.
What did we do, $500 before?
Yeah.
I think it was 500.
Okay. I, Councillor Fox, move to accept the donation request from the FHS Safe Grant Committee and authorize the CAO to direct staff to make a donation in the amount of $500 to FHS Safe Grant Class of 2025.
Seconder?
Councillor Holt, second.
Questions, comments? No, it's a very good program and it benefits all the communities, so I think it's a great idea.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, thank you. Item 10, closed session, so I need a motion to move into closed session.
Deputy Mayor, oh, never mind, go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
I move into closed session.
Seconder?
I, Councillor Holt, second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, we are now in closed session. Can I get a motion to go to open session, please?
I, Councillor Fox, move to go from closed session into open session.
Seconder?
I'll second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried, we are now in open session.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn. Councilor Heisler.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? We're now adjourned. Thank you, council.